Now it's time for Jump In with Julius. Chemicals are really important to our day-to-day lives, and they do a lot of great things for us. But too much of a good thing can sometimes be bad, which is the case for our rivers. It can be hard to tell if there are chemicals in our water that are harmful to our fish and wildlife. So it's important to be able to check and see what's in there. So today, we'll be looking at the hidden harms of our rivers, which are chemicals, and see how we can keep them out of our water. Let's jump in. Every day, we use products with chemicals in them. Medicine, window washers, soap, toothpaste, fertilizer, and more. All of these have chemicals that make them work. But did you know that we can see traces of the chemicals from these products in our rivers, lakes, and even the animals that live in them? How do they travel from our house to our waterways? Are animal friends using these products too? Probably not. In fact, some chemicals, which we call emerging contaminants, can be harmful for the fish and wildlife in our rivers. For example, caffeine is a chemical that's found in things like coffee, tea, energy drinks, even some medicine. For humans, it just helps us feel more awake and less tired. But if caffeine ends up in our river, it can cause problems for the guts and organs of the fish and cause them to get sick or die. But how does the chemical from in here end up in our river? One way these chemicals get into our rivers is through the drains in our house. Everything that goes down our sink, shower drain, or toilet is cleaned before it's released into our lakes and rivers. But some of these chemicals are impossible or very expensive to remove. For example, we should never flush medicine down the toilet because removing the chemicals from the water is really difficult to do. You can see how this might happen in this diagram of the house, pipes, and wastewater treatment plant that are involved in the process. The medicine that's flushed down the drains goes through the pipes to the wastewater treatment plant. But if the wastewater treatment plant can't remove all of the medicine, it'll flow right into a river or a lake where it will get the fish and other living things there sick. Another way the medicine can end up in the river is if it goes down the pipes and then goes through broken pipes to other pipes that go straight to the river and again get our fish sick. The final way is that if medicine or other emerging contaminants are on the grass and are washed away by water, then they can also end up in our rivers and lakes and cause problems too. Now that we know how emerging contaminants end up in our rivers, what can we do to keep them out? Today, we'll be doing an emerging contaminant audit to find out what chemicals and products we use and how to keep them out of our rivers. Here's what you need to do the audit. To do the audit, you'll need a pen or pencil and the emerging contaminant audit paper, which you can find at this link. And now it's time for safety tip with a pup. Always be with an adult when you are handling chemicals and never handle a chemical that you are unfamiliar with. And that was safety tips with a pup. Here's how to do the audit. Go to each room where you live that has products with chemicals. In the bathroom, you can look for soap or shampoo. In the kitchen, you can look for things like coffee or tea. You can also be on the lookout for things like hand sanitizer or cleaning wipes. Once you've gathered all your products, look at the back of each of them for the ingredients list for chemicals that are emerging contaminants. Just like caffeine, these chemicals might have pretty long or complicated names. Some include triclosan, which is found in hand sanitizer, caffeine, which is found in some drinks like coffee and energy drinks, and triclocarbon, which is found in some soaps. For each of the emerging contaminants you find, think about how they might have ended up in our river. Are they being flushed down the toilet or sink when they're not supposed to? Are they in containers that are being thrown away before they are completely used up? What emerging contaminants were you able to find in your audit? Also, now that you know how emerging contaminants end up in our rivers, what are some actions you can take to keep them out? The best thing we can do is keep pollution from getting in there in the first place. Here are 4 things you can do today to keep emerging contaminants out of our rivers. 1, we can clean up litter and trash, such as soda cans that may have caffeine. 2, we can avoid dumping these products into places that flow into rivers, like storm drains and the drains in our houses. 3, we can bring leftover products and old medicine to special disposal sites instead of flushing it down the toilet. 4, we can buy products that do not have harmful chemicals instead of the ones that do. 5, you can remind people not to treat lawns with chemicals like fertilizers or pesticides before a rainstorm that might wash those chemicals into the river. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you learned a lot about emerging contaminants, how they end up in our rivers, and how we can keep them out. If you'd like to learn more, you can visit this website for more information. Here, you can learn more about the Community Leaders Engaged in Aquatic Research Partnership, as well as find more information about the emerging contaminants we find in our rivers. You can even use the mapping tool to find where in Milwaukee we find the most chemicals. Or if you'd like a lesson at your school about emerging contaminants, you can go to this website. In the lesson, we will dive deeper into how we collect samples of emerging contaminants, test them at the lab, and work with community members to reduce chemicals in our water. Here's a quick sample of an interview with Cheryl, our riverkeeper, to show some of the topics we dive into more with the lesson.
There's a lot of different work that we can do on emerging contaminants, and really knowing how they get into our water and what we can do to reduce that pollution to our waterways gets us, closer to our mutual goals of clean, healthy waters and healthier communities. So we hope you'll help us by minimizing that level of pollution to the waters by just paying more attention to, what products that you're using, how you're disposing of them, and better understanding how we can each make a difference in water quality by changing maybe some of our day-to-day tasks and activities.
Thanks, Cheryl. Also, here are all the vocab words that we use today that you can use when talking to other people about chemicals in our water. Thank you again, and remember to take care of each other and our rivers. I'll catch you next time on Jungle with